Welcome to the Crazy in 10 or Less. This is the show where I give it to you in 10 minutes or under, and if I don't, who are you going to call? Anyways, do you have a digital marketing strategy? That's the topic of the day. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. Stop acting up. Let's get it. All right. This episode comes to you from a buddy of mine, podcaster, artist, who made the recommendation. Michael Gracia hit me up, and he's because he watched the Ash Can episode last week. If you didn't see that, check it out. It's got a lot of feedback. And he said, "Hey Sam, what do you think about digital marketing strategies?" And I was like, glad you asked. So, before I begin, let's look at what the textbook term is for digital marketing. A digital marketing strategy is a plan for establishing an internet presence through online channels such as organic search, social media, paid ads, and other web-based mediums such as your website. The goal of digital marketing strategies is to increase awareness about your business and attract new customers to your brand. Right? In a nutshell. A strong digital marketing strategy helps your business achieve specific digital goals through carefully selected mediums. Similar to marketing strategy versus marketing tactics, digital marketing strategy and digital marketing campaign are all also often interchanged. So how do we differ? So here's the deal. Before I proceed with this, I do want to preface the fact that the reason why independent comics and independent creators struggle with this right here, it's because of the dollar value needed and the competence needed to understand how to properly cultivate a strategy and a plan. The amount of work and investment you need to make in understanding how to penetrate this medium is just as much as you would when you're trying to learn a new skill. It's a new skill, which is why if you have the capital, you want to outsource to an expert. Use your money to get somebody else if you really want to grow your business, because it's going to take money to generate money. With that said, let's see how to create a digital marketing strategy. I'm online. I'm looking at a blog by HubSpot, and it says build your buyer's persona. That's the number one. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is that? That's research. That's R&D, right? For any marketing strategy, digital or not, you need to know who you're marketing to. The best digital marketing strategies are built upon detailed buyer personas, and the first step is to create them. So basically, you're profiling. You're creating a profile of who your audience is, who's your customer, why are you targeting them, and you're going to build around them, right? So identifiers, marketing message, what can we do, goals and challenges. Buyer personas represents your ideal customer and can be created by researching, surveying, and interviewing your business target audience. Do you understand how much time that takes? Right? You're like, yo, Sam, it's not that serious. I just want to promote this comic book. But if this is the route you're going to go and you're trying to really break in, these are some of the things you're going to need to know. And it's the stuff that takes us away from the creative part of it. That's why no one really taps into it. That's why people take shortcuts and go to Facebook ads. People think that I'm just going to post, which unfortunately, when you're posting, the majority of the people that are seeing your posts are your peers. And then your peers get annoyed and they see your stuff all the time. And they're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. This guy's just spamming and whatever it is. So it can be misconstrued. So really understanding how to word your posts, the type of graphics and images you're using in your posts, how you get conveying that message to your target audience. Those are all critical factors in this. Promotion and marketing is not belittling. It's not whining. It's not going out there and really venting because you're not getting subscribers, or venting because you're not getting backers on your Kickstarter. It's venting because people have fallen off, or whatever it is. That is actually the opposite. You're actually hurting yourself and hurting your brand. So keep those things in mind, right? So you want to figure out, what is it that I stand for? What's my messaging, and how am I going to make it be consistent, and how do I get it out to the masses? Facebook ads don't work unless you're paying big bucks. What I would suggest you do is save your money, get a specialist, have them come, do the homework, have them come up with your strategy, have them teach you how to infiltrate this arena that's very challenging. So they use terms like quantitative and demographic information. Why is that important? You need to know the location, the age, the income, the job title. These things Facebook asks you when you're doing Facebook ads and you're drilling down, right? And it's hard because some of them you might get spot on and some of them you might get off, because what you're doing is you're basing it off of assumptions. And that's why your marketing strategy is failing. You need to go out and really understand who it is. And you can actually pay for this information, because there are organizations that go out there and they've already built this information, this database pipeline that they'll sell to you. So you can go and get real good data to help you and really are going after your market. But again, it costs. So with everything, it's just there's a dollar value attached to it. And that's why us as the little guys, don't play in that sandbox, and the fight is harder. That hill is higher, right? Qualitative and psychographic information. Like, what, Sam? You're talking over my head. I know. I'm reading it too. I'm like, what are you talking about, homie? Right? Goals. Depending on what your challenge, your product, or your services solves, you may also have a good idea of the goals of your buyer's persona. Cement your assumptions by speaking to real customers and internal sales and customer service reps. Right? So this is overarching thing. This is big boy talk, right? But how do you narrow it down to little guy game, right? So we're not talking about God of War. We're talking about checkers, right? So, but checkers, you still have to do your homework. This is the same premise, right? So challenges, speak to customers, sales and customer service reps. This is big boy stuff, right? Hobbies and interests. What are their hobbies? Priorities. What are their priorities? Identify your goals and digital marketing tools you'll need. So what is it you're going to need? When you identify your goals, understand what your budget is. They go hand in hand, right? They're like, Ren and Stimpy. They're bonded. Evaluate your existing digital channels and assets. When reviewing your existing digital marketing channels and assets to determine what to incorporate in your strategy, it's helpful to first consider the big picture. This will prevent you from feeling overwhelmed or confused. Too late. It's too late. Right? I think when you're reading this stuff, you're overwhelmed, because what happens is you read these. These are summaries, right? These are basically profiles, definitions. These are guides, which require you to go back in and do your homework, right? Sam, why are you so mad? I don't know. I'm just feeling it. So owned media, earned media, paid media. So what's the difference between the three, right? So you want to determine, you want to do click to play. It's informational. What is it? So you can do all of this planning, but it doesn't help unless you really have the competence. And the competence is the knowledge based on the research, right? Identify gaps in your existing content based on your buyer's personas. Identify any gaps that the content may have. For example, if you're a math tutoring company and know your research through research that a major challenge for your personas is finding effective ways to study, create some. Right? So these are just big examples. So now let's narrow it down. So now that I, went through this whole thing, right? Create a content creation plan. This should include a title, a format, a goal, promotional channels, where you're creating the content, the priority level of the content, right? All these things. Bring your digital marketing together. So here's what I would say if you're an independent creator. Number one, if you're an artist, have an art channel. Have a YouTube art channel where even if you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, you don't have to be flash. If you go to the Art of Samuel, there is no catchy hook intro, right? The Art of Samuel is just me talking, doing some art demonstrations, providing some real world experience or tips based on my experience, right? And it's growing nicely. But I have an art channel, build the audience that way. Keep the names consistent. So if you're on Twitter, if it's Michael Gracia Draws, It should be the same on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you're going to keep it consistent. The biggest thing that you confuse people is when your messaging is not consistent. They don't know who they're talking to. So keep it aligned. Number 3, one thing that I don't do because I'm lazy is have a different promotional strategy for Twitter than you would for Facebook, than you do with Instagram. I haven't done that because it takes time, right? But if you really want to break in, right? If you're going to post something, say you're promoting your Kickstarter, you post an image on Instagram with whatever tagline or whatever it is, the content that you're putting in there. Make sure you have a different image for Twitter and a different image for Facebook. That takes time, right? Because what happens is, and this is what happens with me, I'm guilty of this. People see the same thing everywhere, and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's everywhere. I can't tired of seeing this stuff." Oh, right? Or, but if you have a different promotional strategy, whoever's following you on those platforms, because sometimes they're not hand in hand, right? You have probably a small, maybe 8% of your population that's on that's following you on these social platforms that cross over. Small handful. The rest of them are all people who just found you. So you want to make it special to that platform and tailor your strategy there. And that's what's going to make a difference in the game, right? Do art demonstrations. If you're a writer, post art writing tips, ask questions, build a coalition or a following around like-minded individuals. Talk about writer's block. How do you overcome? Great question you can write on Twitter. How do you overcome writer's block? People want to share and build that. I'm not good at that stuff, and I know I should be, but I'm sharing it with you because I've seen those practices. I watch it. There's a lot of conversations about subjects whether in the creative world. So if you really want to break the game, this is a way of promoting yourself without advertising. It's a subtle way of building relationships on social media. Another thing that I'm not very good at, and I recognize that. I like to create. I like to do this. I like to be in the lab just grinding. The day will come when I've saved enough money, I'm going to hire somebody to just handle that kind of stuff. Until then, this is where I'm going. This is how I'm doing. But that's a decision I made. And I know that I can really elevate my game if I did some of these things that I'm recommending to you. The knowledge is there. It's just the willingness is not just yet. That's that left brain, right brain kind of stuff. But yes, start conversations that people are interested in. Create channels where you share your best practices, what you learned. What did you learn from a book that you read? What did you learn from an artist that you admire? All those things. If you're going to pay, then what I would suggest you do is take advantage of Facebook has. It's like Facebook Academy, where they'll teach you how to really hone in on the ad platforms and walk you step by step. It's several hours worth of information, maybe a couple of days for you to really understand it. But it teaches you, it isn't just about the drilling down. It's about all the other things, the back end stuff. So work on that. Get that. Google has a certification. Go and take that up if you really want to generate more revenue through online and digital marketing. Google has certifications that will teach you how to do these things. So there are things out there for you that you can take advantage of. I know I started and then I just didn't have the time. And time is the hard part, right? Get a balance to time. So I think the biggest thing is stay consistent with your branding, your name. Have a web presence. If you don't have a website, you should have a website, because where are you going to sell your stuff, right? How do you want people to get a hold of you? Have a website. Make sure that's consistent with your branding. Have an image, a logo that people could recognize, and tailor your messaging based on the platform until you save enough money to really go after marketing strategies. Because there's a lot of ways. There's ways that you can have push marketing where it'll come up on people's phones. All these things, but all that stuff costs money. So with that said, those small tips, I'm hoping that they helped you. If not, hey, what are you gonna do? I'm not the professional, but I have enough experience that I've learned what not to do and what to do. And I know the biggest thing for me is really outsourced to a specialist, because I don't have time to be a specialist in that arena. I just want to draw and write and create podcasts. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up. Put a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Subscribe, like, share it with a friend. Let the world know where you heard this episode from. With that said, I'm Sam, the Crazy Man Vera. This is the Crazy 10 or Less. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.